You're listening to Without a Brief, a Red Bow House podcast where we talk branding, business, visibility, identity, and the women behind the work. I'm your host, Jasmine Soteropoulos. Let's get into it. Wow, so here we are. After many years of wanting to create a podcast, thinking, am I the right fit? Should I be speaking out? All the imposter syndrome that happens when you start something new, although completely natural, is hard to shift through and move through, especially when you have so many other things on the table. When you're working full time in your own business, trying to build something that lasts, it's very rare that you get a moment to yourself to think, how am I going to push this further? How am I going to take that next step? Where do I fit? What path am I going to pave for myself? And so here we are. This is the podcast. Hi, welcome. I want to start off by giving you a little bit of an explanation as to why it's called Without a Brief. I was recently invited to a podcast, and before the podcast, I had a phone call lined up with the host. Now, we sat through and talked about potentially where we align, what we could talk about, and it was actually really helpful. I enjoyed it very much. And at one point, I was asked, would I like it to be structured, or am I a more go with the flow kind of person? And although I absolutely love structure in almost all areas of my life, conversation isn't one of them. What I love more than anything is conversations that just flow, where people are talking over each other. I grew up in a culture where it wasn't looked at as rude to interrupt. It was encouraged. It meant that you were involved in the conversation and that you were here and in it and immersed. And more importantly, that you had something to say, and people appreciated that. So for my very own podcast, what I really wanted is that experience where it's not scripted, it's not structured, and we don't have a brief to go off. We're women in business that have a lot of experience, that have a lot to say, and we're willing to share that information so we can watch each other grow without gatekeeping. And although I love listening to podcasts that are more structured, it just didn't feel aligned with what I wanted to hear all the time. I wanted to feel like I was part of the conversation. Oh, girl, me too. Oh, I agree. Oh, I wish they had talked about this. Oh, I want to hear more about this. That's the kind of feeling I want you to have when you listen. So let's take this a step back. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm Jasmine, and I am the founder and creative director of Reworded, who has now branched off into Red Bow House. I've had over 16 years of experience in the creative industry, in branding, in web design, in marketing, you name it. I've tried it out, I felt through it, and I feel like I finally landed in a space where I truly know what I'm excellent at and where I can offer my clients the best of me. Mind you, Reworded wasn't even my first baby. Before Reworded, I ran women's circles and held safe space for women to explore whatever it is they wish to explore, with having a topic each week to discuss. So I think that's allowed me to really be able to connect with other women and get to a deeper level in our discussions and really stay honest and true to ourselves while we do it. Now, that was about 6 years ago. From then, I started Reworded, and I've been branding and web designing ever since. And now I find myself in another transition. Do you ever feel like you've outgrown your business? And what I mean by that is you find that the clientele that is now attracted to you is vastly different from who was attracted to you at the very beginning. If you're lucky, it's because you have grown to a certain point and you're attracting higher value clients. And that's at the end of the day what we all want. We want to be able to earn more. But to do that, we have to position ourselves in a way that counts and gets noticed. And with the way businesses are going today and AI making it so readily available to have pretty things made, we're moving deeper and deeper into founder led and personal branding. It's no longer enough to show up as a logo on Instagram. People want to see your face, people want to see the values and the story behind a brand before they trust you. or at least trust you enough to buy from you. And I guess that's the biggest difference. It's one thing to have people follow your story, follow your journey, and click that like button and click follow, but it's a whole different thing to actually convert them into a buyer. And that's where Red Bow House comes in. My job is to basically get everything that you are and see you better than you see yourself so that we can actually build a brand around who you are, where you fit in the market, and how you need to communicate what you do and what you offer. And don't get me wrong, branding that is all beautiful with no substance will still be around. But what we're trying to do is put you ahead of the curve because we don't want our businesses and brands to be good. We want them to be great. We want them to excel. We want them to go somewhere incredible and reach heights that we never even thought were possible. And so, what I've been focusing on is positioning my clients so that they can genuinely charge more. We hear the story all the time about how so and so is making 10K per month, or this is how you do this and this is how you do that. But the reality is that your business, your brand, your offer need to all be at the same level and they all need to speak to the same points. What that looks like is if I'm finding you through your Instagram and I watch your videos and I resonate to every single word that you're saying, but then I go to your page and it's all mixed signals, mixed stories, and one thing does not build onto the other, then it's likely that you've lost me. Let's take it a step further. And if we were looking at everything is clear on your Instagram and that's where you're focusing all your energy, but then when I go to buy and I click your website, once again, it doesn't match the standard of quality that you've put into your Instagram. And this happens time and time again. And these are just examples of different platforms that we're showing up in, and we look messy or we look unaligned to our brand message. And that's where that gap needs to be filled. It needs to be more aligned. It needs to be the same across the board. So whatever touch point someone is coming to you from, it does not matter because you are saying the same thing everywhere. It's a tale as old as time. You put out an offer and you're just like, I don't know, it's not selling, it's not doing this. So you go back to the drawing board and you create a new offer and you try and try again. And maybe every now and then you succeed somewhere in that pattern. But we don't want to operate a business like that. We want to be more intentional with what we're putting out. We want it to be aligned across the board. So every single time you're putting something out there, it is being picked up time and time again. It's almost like creating a cult following purely based on the fact that you are so clear with your message across strategy, across brand voice, tone, personality, your visuals, they're all speaking to the same customer. And that's exactly why I'm here. That's exactly why I want to have these conversations. I want to get a real feel for how businesses are operating, what they think on topics like this, how they're finding their success, where they're struggling, all the ins and outs, so that we can learn from each other and grow. We'll be talking to women from their very early founder days all the way into successful and established founders. So if you're a woman who is in business, looking to start a business, or well established but want to keep your finger on the pulse, this is exactly what we're here for. And the idea is that we do it in a natural conversation and allow that conversation to lead us to exactly where we need to be, trusting that the alignment's going to happen naturally. And I hope that by the end of every episode, you feel like you are part of the conversation yourself. You've also walked away with something that you didn't know before. Even if it is just a story of the birth of a brand, you are here for it and we enjoyed the journey. So wish me luck, and I can't wait to see where this goes. And who knows, we might even have you on an episode. Bye for now, and be sure to check out our next episode. Thank you so much for being here. This was Without a Brief, a Red Bow House podcast. To explore the agency, apply to be a guest, or listen to more episodes, visit redbowhouse.com.